It was built upon the stories of bloody conflict between settlers of Missouri and Kansas before and during the American Civil War. By extension, the college football interstate rivalry between the Tigers and Jayhawks was as intense as any through 2011. The first game was played on Halloween 1891 in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas won 22-8. Starting an early KU dominance in the series that resulted in 14 victories against only 4 defeats and 4 ties through 1912. The most successful KU coach during that era was A.R. Kennedy, who compiled a 4-1-2 record against Missouri during his 1904 to 1910 coaching reign and an overall record of 52-9-4 with Kansas in 7 seasons. His 1908 team went 9-0. Missouri reversed the tide between 1913 and 1929, going 10-5-1 against the Jayhawks. Between 1930 and 1947, the series was dead even, 8-8, with 2 ties. Inside of this era, however, Missouri's Hall of Fame coach Don Farrow went 6-2-2 against Kansas. As a coach, Farrow stands head and shoulders over all other KU or MU head coaches, with the possible exceptions of Missouri's Dan Devine, who led the Tigers between 1958 and 1970, and the Tigers' Gary Pinkel, who coached at Missouri from 2001 through 2015. Farrow is credited with developing the split T formation and did much to build the Missouri athletic program, spearheading several expansions of the school's football stadium. The playing surface, Farrow Field, is named for Don Farrow. 1948 through 1966 was the most pronounced period of Missouri dominance in the series, as the Tigers won 13, lost 3, tied twice, with 1 game still in dispute to this day. In 1960, Kansas went to Missouri and upset the top-rated Tigers 23-7. However, it was later discovered that Kansas player Bert Cohen, an ineligible player, had played in the game. The Big Eight, the conference of which Missouri and Kansas were a part, took the victory away from Kansas and awarded it to Missouri. Thus, the Tigers were technically undefeated in 1960, and they defeated Navy in the 1961 Orange Bowl. However, Kansas still claims the victory, regardless of the Big Eight sanction. Cohen, the player at the center of the controversy, went on to a respectable pro football career. He died in 2022. Meanwhile, Don Farrow went 7-2 against KU during that time, retiring after the 1956 season. He stayed on as MU's athletic director until 1967 and died in 1995 at the age of 93. From 1967 through 2011, Kansas enjoyed a 24-21 edge in the series. Once Missouri moved to the Southeastern Conference, the series went on hiatus. As of late 2023, the 2 schools will meet on the gridiron in 2025, 2026, 2031, and 2032. Now for each team's greatest win in the series. In 1968, led by quarterback Bobby Douglas, Kansas held off a valiant Missouri team at Farrow Field, winning 21-19 and clinching a share of the Big Eight championship. The very next year, 1969, the Tigers took revenge, led by quarterback Terry McMillan, wide receiver Mel Gray, and running back John Staggers. The Tigers crushed the Jayhawks in Lawrence 69-21 and claimed a share of the Big Eight crown. That's a brief summary of Missouri versus Kansas. More great college football interstate rivalries to come on Saturday Sportsline Memories. Hit the like button and subscribe.